Hey, what's up guys? Omar here, broker and CEO of Alden Mortgage and Ome Realty. So I'm going to go ahead and give you a mortgage rate update because I forgot to do it on the 30th, even though we are on the 2nd today. Sorry, my bad. Sometimes life gets a little busy. And then also I'm going to tell you guys how to actually calculate inflation, right? And I'm going to compare what's going on with Bank of America or Bank of England, what has happened over in England, how it could affect us. And I'm going to use it. I'm going to give an example of what happened with GME to kind of associate with GameStop to what's happening in the Bank of England. I'm 100% going to just brutalize this, and I'm probably going to do a terrible job at it. I'm not going to lie, I'm probably going to do a terrible job, but let's get on with the mortgage rate update. And before I get started, if you did want to purchase a property and you did need mortgaging assistance, because we're actually a mortgaging company right there, Alden Mortgage and Ome Realty. I own both of those little bad suckers for up to 50% commission rebate because nobody else does that. Nobody else does that. I think I'm the only one who does that. 0% listing on selling your current home. Let's face it, nobody else does that either. And any mortgaging assistance, link in the description below. We got all these mortgage products and some, but let's get on with the mortgage rate update. As of 9/30/2022, 30-year fix will be sitting at 6.13%. 15-year fix will be sitting at 5%. 30-year high balance will be sitting at 6.28%. DSCR loan, which will be sitting at 8.50%. Bank statement loan will be sitting at 8.50%. FHA loan, 30-year, will be sitting at 5.5%. 7/6 adjustable rate mortgage will be sitting at 5.88%. USDA 30-year fix will be sitting at 5.50%. VA 30-year fix will be sitting at 5.56%, and hard money fix and flip will be sitting at 9.7%. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to really, really loosely try to associate what the hell is going on with Bank of England, right? Because Bank of England, you've heard it. They're like, oh my God, Bank of England came in to intervene because England is just, they're in deep shit. They're going to go out of business as a country. They could have went into turmoil, just lost everything, and how that is actually going to affect us as a whole. And then I'm going to teach you how you could go ahead and calculate your inflation rate. Actually, should I just do it now? I'll just do it now, okay? Just to get it out of the way, okay? So how to calculate your own inflation rate, okay? So like for instance, let's just say take all of your expenses, okay? Or you could just like subcategorize each one to your rent, your food cost, your gas, your everything versus your housing costs, or you could compile all of them together. For the sake of this argument, let's just say that we have a $50,000 a year this last year, 2021 until beginning to end. So 2021, January to December, I spent $50,000 total on my total cost of living, right? And you could do this on your rental, you could do this on any of them. And this year I had $55,000 in total expense. Well, that will go ahead and give you your total inflation numbers. That is a $5,000 discrepancy from last year until this year, assuming that I'm calculating all the way up to December, from January 2022 until December, January 2022, right? Stick with me, this is all hypothetical, this is all just examples, but we have a $5,000 discrepancy, right? So you're going to go ahead and take $5,000 and you're going to divide it by the last year's expenses, and that is going to go ahead and give you your inflation rate. You get a decimal point, it's back in elementary school, right? Or middle school, or I don't remember when they did it, but take that decimal point, pop it over 2 spots, and then that is going to be your total inflation rate. Now, I'm going to go ahead and explain what's going on with Bank of England. So, Bank of England, they as a whole, they went ahead and, the British people are just completely screwed right now because they almost went into some serious shit because they were at 9.9% inflation rate. Now, a 9.9 inflation rate is crazy. You know what? I'm going to show you right now what a 9.9% inflation rate, and because we're a real estate channel and that's what I do. I'm a mortgage broker. So for up to 50% commission rebate, 0% listing and selling your current home, or any mortgage assistance, link in the description below, but let's get on with it. Let me show you what 9.9 interest or inflation rate is short-term and long-term. Like let's say, for instance, you bought a house and it stayed at 10%, 9.9%, which they're at right now, or even us at 8.3%. I'm going to do both examples. Let me go ahead and do that right now. All right. So let's take a look at it. Okay, so let's just say on average that a house is running at $500,000. Okay, now if you take inflation into consideration, the normal inflation rate that we have on 30 years long term is about 2%, which will have a house that's worth $500,000 today. In 30 years from today will be worth $905,680.79, which is not bad. That's not bad at all. That's right where it should be. Now let's go ahead and take these numbers and become completely stupid with it, okay? Now this number is going to be, let's do America, okay? Right now, currently in America, we're at 8.3% inflation rate. In 30 years, this $500,000 house, calculate it, will have I can't even make this shit up. This is so funny to see this. This $500,000 house you'll have to pay in 30 years time from now $5,467,939. You see how stupid this is? Now if we went in the same direction with England, then now we're still long term, okay? We're still going to be long term. Now if we went to 9.9 where they're at, that'll put their inflation rate. That'll mean that $500,000 house you'll have to pay in 30 years, if we stayed at this inflation rate, $8,489,864. That is so ridiculously stupid. It's unbelievable. Now let's take, for instance, let's go ahead and go. Actually, I was gonna do like something like a Big Mac meal or something like that. But let's go ahead and do short term, because we want to know if this stays for the next 5 years, right? 5 years inflation rate. Because that's not that too far. That same $500,000 house will be worth $801,000, which is not that long. So let's say you did 2 years. In 2 years, you would have to pay $100,000 more for this same house at a 9.9 inflation rate. Now let's say inflation rate is at 8.3% where we're at and it stays there. You would have to pay $86,444.50 just to get into that same house, that $500,000 house in 2 years. Now that's not even taking into consideration the amount that you have to pay on total liabilities when it comes to purchasing a loan product. Because let's say loans are completely out of whack now. The interest rates have lost their damn mind. Everything is completely crazy. Now let's go ahead and take a Big Mac meal. Like let's say a $10 Big Mac meal. I don't know. I don't eat at McDonald's, but I think everybody could associate with that. In 2 years, a Big Mac meal will cost you $11.73. Now, your inflation rate, now this is not just one thing. Now, let's say your groceries cost about, let's say, $100 a week, okay? If you had a family of four, like me, I have my wife and I have 2 kids. I have my daughter and my son. We roughly go in groceries, maybe like, we're a little bit more than that. We're like $150 a week. You know, those chicken nuggets at Costco, they run a hurting on you. But that same $150 in 2 years will end up costing me $175. Now that same one, if we did long term to 30 years, that same $150 in the course of 30 years, now that same $150 that I spent will end up costing me $1,640.38. Do you see how crazy this is? Do you see why this is so important to get this inflation rate down? Now, I'll go ahead and put a link below on this inflation calculator, or you could just Google it. I don't even need to put a link. You could just Google it. You could go backwards if you want. You could go forwards if you want. Actually, I like this website, so I'm going to go ahead and pop it down in there for you, but it's a great way to know exactly how inflation works and how much things will end up costing. Like, this is stupid, right? I can't make this up. Like, even if you did a 200, like, let's say you live in a place that the average price is $250,000 at 8.3%. Oh, I forgot to put a zero. $250,000. That same $250,000 house at an 8.3% inflation rate will end up costing you in 30 years. Your kids will end up having to pay $2.7 million for that same house. That is so stupid. Now, that's exactly what's going on kind of in like in England right now, right? So England, their inflation rate is at 9.9%, right? So let's say, for instance, this GameStop thing, right? We're going to do this Wall Street bets thing, and I'm going to try to compare this as easily as I can so everybody understands. So whenever you had the Wall Street bets guys, let's say the Wall Street buy is the parliament, right? because they don't know what the fuck they're doing. They have no idea what's going on. It seems like nobody knows what the hell they're doing. Nobody knows what to do because voting, the elections are coming up. The Queen, God rest her soul, she passed away. Straight up OG that lady was. Gangsters Paradise and all that. Oh yeah, Coolio died too. Damn. We're losing some people. I grew up with Gangsters Paradise. I don't remember anything else he did, but Gangsters Paradise is all you needed to do. But let's say, for instance, Wallstreet Bets. Wallstreet Bets is the Bank of England, right? The Melvin Capital was the people who shorted GameStop. They shorted GameStop, which seems to be what the parliament is doing. They want to go ahead and try to get a chokehold on inflation, so they're increasing a bunch of things. Now, the problem with all of this is that they are the pensions that they have in England, the people's pensions, when you retire, all the old people that have to retire, they get a pension, right? They get to leverage their pensions. So, for instance, if you had $1,000 and your boy wants to go ahead and buy, or your girl or whatever, right, wants to go ahead and buy something, they're like, oh, it's $2,000, right? Well, they say, okay, you could go ahead and buy this thing for $2,000. I will go ahead and leverage your $1,000 to $2,000 as a buffer, like a credit, so to speak, right? Well, the problem is on a lot of these, you have what's called a margin call. You have to go ahead and pay a premium on this. Now, what happened is when they leveraged it so much is what Melvin Capital did. They said that GameStop is going to shit. Everything is going down. We're going to go ahead and short this because it's a sure win. We're going to make so much money. Forget it, because that's what they did. When you short it, these hedge funds, what they do is they short a lot of dying companies, and then that's how they make their money. So what they do is they say they borrow a stock, the $10, they'll go ahead and wait for it to come down, and then they'll go ahead and sell it to somebody else for the difference of what it actually is. And that's how they go ahead and make their money. So if it's 10, you get another 10 IOU, and then you go out and go from there. We'll leave the details for another video. But then here comes Wallstreet Bets, which is the Bank of England. They say, you know what? You guys are dumb. You don't know what you're doing. We're going to go ahead and fix all of this. We're going to save GameStop, which is what exactly the Bank of England is doing. Is they're like, the economy is going down. The parliament, you don't know what you're doing. We have no idea where you're going. That governing body has no idea what they're doing. We're going to come in and we're going to go ahead and swoop you guys back up, because we're going to go into a depression. We're not even at the talks of recession anymore. We're at the talks of a depression. Like, things are that bad. So they're in here to swoop. They're increasing the total value. Parliament, except this way, the Parliament is not actually Melvin Capital, because they're not dying, but Melvin Capital did, and then they had their little friends at 72 and Citadel that came and bailed them out. You could Google the story behind that. I'm probably butchering this comparison by a lot, but that's exactly what's happening. But here's the big problem. They're only doing this. They're buying $5 billion worth of futures until October. But what happens after that? Now, the associating markets, when you come to England for the United States versus Shanghai Stock Exchange, all these stock exchanges individually affect each other collectively. So whenever you have something that's going on with a Bank of England, well, that's what could go ahead and cause us to crash. Because back in the day, in 2008, as majority of you guys could remember, we, as United States, because we were buying all these MBSs and we were leveraged to the gills, we were the ones that we crashed the rest of the world. Everybody in the entire world's real estate market took a big hit because of us. So that's why inflation is a son of a bitch. So we know exactly how much. Now, how is that going to affect real estate? Well, real estate's already been affected. Real estate has just taken a complete dump. We are losing so much. Like, everything now, you could put contingencies in offers. You could do whatever you want in offers, because everybody knows that people are getting desperate. People know that the availability of buyers is not there that it was once in 2021, 2020. The amount of capital that we had initially is so much more now than it was to purchase a home versus before. The total amount your debt to income has to be now versus what it was before is astronomical. Now we're going to get hit again 2 more times by the Fed fund, with an increase in Fed fund rates. The Federal Reserve is going to increase us up, I think, in November and then again in December. Now that's going to be when they're going to go ahead and cripple us. Now they already said that they're going to try to cripple us. To be honest with you, I don't even know what to believe anymore, but that's going to be it. Now, I know I do these videos only to promote my business. That's all I care about, not to be a YouTuber or anything like that. So if you did need any mortgaging assistance, link in the description below. To 50% commission rebate, link in the description below. Any mortgaging assistance, link in the description below. But let's be honest, okay? I know I do this for a living. I know this is what I do. I know I promote all of this, but for the love of God, don't buy a house yet. And I know it's like, okay, if everybody's telling me not to buy a house, I'm going to do the exact opposite. No, listen, nothing makes sense anymore. 1 + 1 now equals banana. That's what it is. That's where we're at. The amount that it costs to purchase a home versus the amount that home prices currently are, logically, it does not make sense. In my mind, and this is, of course, everybody has an opinion. Opinions are like assholes. Everybody has one. In my mind, we'll see an actual market shift in exactly where we should be at in Q2 of next year. So if you break down the year in 3-month increments where you have a total of 4 quarters, by June of next year, I think we should possibly see exactly where we're at if we're not hit before. So hang tight, chill out, unless you have a really good deal that you don't want to pass up, or of course you have any familiar family situations that you're in dire need to go ahead and get a house or whatever it is. Everybody's situation is different. Of course, that's why we're still here, is to go ahead and give everybody the best financial footprint that they can when they are purchasing a house, to alleviate a lot of that pain with the rebates that we have. But chill out. Like, what's the rush? I know rents have gotten really crazy. I mean, everything has gotten really, really crazy. And I feel for everybody that's going through this financial shithole that we're all put into. But until next video, guys, I really appreciate you watching. Like, subscribe, comment, all that stuff. Tell me how shitty of a job I did trying to compare these things, or if I did a good job. I don't know. Until next video, guys, I really appreciate you watching. Peace.